Hello and welcome to episode 3 here on Delta Sparks. I am Evan.
And I am Andie.
Pop, pop, pop. Andie,
pop, pop.
For our listeners, just going to start off rolling down the hill. Where is the Southeast?
The Southeast, Evan, is located in the United States for you.
Okay. So when I said Southeast earlier, did you say that?
No, I did not.
What country did you say, hey, Evan, make sure you identify what country the Southeast you're talking about, because people might think you're talking about blank. What's blank, Andie?
Evan, blank for me would be Iraq.
Yes. Andie said to me, Evan, make sure that you specify when you say Southeast or Southwest, you say United States, because some people might think you're talking about Iraq. I think that some people is my co-host.
I would just like to clarify that while my hair right now is brunette, I am actually naturally a blonde. So I would just like to clear that up.
You didn't have to tell us. We knew. Now, to be fair, this week has been full of brain farts, I think, on both of our parts.
Yes.
Parts. Andie and me were messaging, I believe, yesterday evening, talking about what we were going to talk about on this episode.
It was a very thrilling conversation for both of us, I'm sure.
It was enthralling. It was like the movie Speed on speed in an old folks home.
With neither of us knowing what was going on.
I read a word that she said. How do you spell the word, Andie?
That would be Segue.
Okay. And how did I say it?
Segue.
Andie wrote blah, 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 blah. Segue. And I read it as blah, 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 blah. Segue. So, I think we're both firing blanks a little bit this week. But
yeah, we're not in fine form. I blame the snow.
You know what? So does everyone else in the Southwest of the United States of America, not the United States of Iraq.
Well, you don't know. They might blame the snow too.
If Iraq got snow, we're all fucked. Okay? But with that being said, talking about the Southwest and of the United States of America and just hot dumpster fire weather going on down there, and I mean hot ironically, not literally, because they are frozen right now. And do you know who lives there?
I do. Well, I know a few people who live there.
So do I. But specifically, I am talking about last episode's guest, Michelle Brull, from the Driver Back. I'm still not sure how to say it.
I'm sure she will tell you and clarify.
You made me very self-conscious. Or was it my wife? I don't know. You both seem like the same person sometimes. Okay. But
you have going back to
I do. I attract the severely dented ones.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right, so moving on. So Michelle was amazing. We talked about a lot of different stuff. We're going to dive into a little bit of that to kind of give a recap, kind of give some of our thoughts, ideas, our takes on that. First off, how many fucking jobs has this woman had?
I know.
Or not even jobs. How many companies, businesses has she owned and run?
Absolutely incredible. I don't know how she does it. Literally, I don't know how she does it.
I barely get off the couch most days.
I know. I'm very proud of you when you do.
I somehow threw out my back today, laying on the couch having a snow day. So
wait, did you shovel today? Could it have been from that?
I shoveled yesterday, but not today because I was still waiting for it to stop snowing. But I mean, whatever. My back has always been fucked. It's tall guy problems. I don't know. But I mean, Michelle, she started out with a bakery. I don't know if the concrete company was before or after the bakery that her dad owns that she was like doing the books for and running. And she transitioned into organ transplant organ transportation.
And like funeral directing, which I think that's mostly for the organ
transportation,
right? So,
and then jumped on board for driver back and has just taken
and
that
she said
and
she
exploded
served for a while, and like
you've never served?
I have served, yes, actually.
I've served.
It was for a very short period of time.
I've served short-term sentences, nothing long-term, and I'd waited tables for a little while early on in my life.
Yeah, I waited tables. Yeah, that was for a period of my life where I was working 3 jobs at the same time, which is pretty gross. I would not recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, I waited tables. So I'll tell this quick story. My first job home after rehab trip number 1.
Mm-hmm. How old are you at this point?
18.
Okay.
18 on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
I got a job like waiting tables at this little lunch place in a town here in New Jersey, a very high-end town. Got a lot of money. Okay. They were schmancy. And this place was only open for lunch Monday through Saturday. Okay, so 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., boom, doors open, doors closed. But we had to be there earlier and later.
Right.
We waited tables. We bussed our own tables. Sometimes we helped make the food because it was like 2 guys in the kitchen, 2 waiters, bussers, and then somebody up front who, rang people up. And so funny story, the guys who owned the place, they were 2 gentlemen, both named Bob.
Bob squared, of course. Yeah.
Yep. Both in their mid to late 60s. And the Bobs had been, well, not married, but together for 30 plus years.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I also found it hilarious that 2 people, both named Bob, decided to enter into a partnership together, and that's lasted 30 years.
Yeah.
And
I imagine, was it a burger place?
No. So all they did was soups, quiches, and sandwiches.
So it wasn't Bob's Burgers.
It was not Bob's Burgers.
Okay.
It was Bob's Hot Soup.
Not quite the same ring to it,
but if you spilt the soup on your pants, then it was Bob's Hot Pants. Okay. Now
sounds sexy.
Yes, Bob's Hot Pants and Sally's Salad Sexies. Now, 80% of their clientele, Monday through Friday in the afternoons, were a large portion older gay gentlemen.
Cool.
And let me tell you, the things that were offered to me, just serving soup and sandwiches. I had one guy who said,
did they offer you just the tip?
Oh, they offered me a whole lot more than just the tip. But one guy offered to take me on sabbatical with him to Egypt.
Ooh. I'd have been all over that if I was you.
Well, I wasn't really willing to pay my way, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, honk, honk.
Yeah, it's expensive. I got you.
Yeah, but I had waited tables before that. I did that. And then I did like, I think I talked about it before. Telemarketing. I've done a lot of like jobs that you don't really get treated too well doing. And so I could relate to a lot of what Michelle has probably gone through, and you as well, and like what we were talking about, especially when it has to deal with people's food. Mm-hmm. But even more so when it has to do with like people's homes.
Right.
And like walking into someone's home and like being a service tech. Yeah. That's a difficult job. Like maybe not the work, but have you ever had a guy stand over you for 8 hours while you're trying to troubleshoot his outlets?
I have in fact had that on site.
On site?
Yeah. That's one of the things.
Like on a job site or in someone's home?
On a job site. I have had it where there's been guys who didn't think I know what I was doing. So they will stand there and they will watch over you, looking over your shoulder, making sure you know what's going on. Because You come on site and it's automatically assumed that you kind of don't know what you're doing.
So the last experience you had with this, I know this is all off the top. How much experience did you have at the time?
That was probably when I was in my maybe second or third year of my apprenticeship. So enough. And I will say for my kind of first year, I spent a lot of time sweeping and vacuuming, kind of cleaning up and doing those kind of jobs, which whatever, you got to pay your dues. I get that. So I acknowledge that there wasn't a lot of experience gained at that point, but like with the jobs that we were doing with the apartment buildings, dormitories, that kind of stuff, it was very repetitive. And so once you were onto a receptacle, you've done one, you've done 1,000 in those kind of places, right?
So the guy who was standing over you,
yes.
Do you think if it was a man or a male, you know, who had the same experience level that you had and was roughly the same age range that you were?
He was actually younger than me.
He was.
He was.
Well, you also came into the trade a little bit later than some.
Yes,
some people.
I was not fresh out of high school.
You were a late bloomer, as they say.
Oh, yes, they do say that about me.
Okay, so taking the age part out of it, if it was somebody else who had the same amount of experience as you did at the time, do you think you would have been treated the same, or you think they would have been treated differently?
Oh, somebody like in the same scenario. I think
if there was a guy who was in his second to third year, who had spent his first year, I don't know how long you knew the person who was watching over you, but if it was, let's switch out Andy for Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew has the same amount of experience as you did at the time. Do you think he would have been treated the same by this particular person?
No, not a chance.
Well, that's fucked up.
Yeah, well, that's what it is, right?
It is, but it doesn't have to be that way, and I think that's
a
big reason why we started this.
I do also think that it is moving away from that, because I worked for a big company and I had mostly great experiences working with that company. Like guys that let me. It was just one guy.
Just one turd burger.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, on behalf of Delta Sparks Pod, to whomever you are, go fuck yourself, asshole. But, that brings up a really good point. And this is kind of getting back to what Michelle was talking about. Is like she talked about how she carried herself.
Right.
Now, we can go in and just talk about like how a woman on a job site carries herself. But I think it's equally as important to talk about how men carry themselves on job sites, not even in like a sense of like not being masculine enough, or being too masculine, or like fronting like, yo, I got this shit, I'm a fucking man, I'm a fucking do shit, beers and titties.
There's nothing wrong with either of those things.
No, but carrying yourself in a respectable way,
right?
To where you don't alienate people, you don't alienate yourself, you don't put yourself in a bad position. I mean, how many people have walked onto job sites who say, "Yeah, I've got 15 years experience. I only do big things. I don't run MC. I don't hang lights." And then I'm like, "Hey, bud, go wire up that 3-way switch for me."
Yeah.
45 minutes later, it's still not done right.
Right. Well, and I think it comes down to playing to your strengths. Like we were talking about with Michelle, how she says that she's very good at reading people. And I think that is important to be noted for on a job site. Like I myself, I wouldn't say I'm the most masculine, but I'm definitely not especially girly. Like yesterday I had my hair in braids and I was all excited because my hair is all crinkly today. I wear mascara every day and I'm pretty bubbly. Like I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that I give off that masculine presence, but if we're talking tools, I know what I'm going to use to be doing whatever particular task.
Well, I think you could take masculinity, take the word out of the conversation, and let's put confidence.
Yeah. Well,
because I think it comes down to confidence. Not
I think
cockiness.
it also comes down to capability. So I know what I'm able to do, right? Like I know that I have the skill set and I have the knowledge to do whatever it is I'm doing. And if I don't, I have the confidence, bringing it back to that, to be going and saying, well, listen, like, this is what I think I should be doing here. Am I kind of on the right track here? Is this something you want done a different way? That's the other thing. I have also had it where one job site to the next, same company, but foremen want things done in a different way. Say, like landing wires in a panel. How do you want them grouped? Do you want them not grouped? Do you want everything labeled? How do you want it labeled? Like, so different foremen want different things. So it never hurts to ask questions like that.
Yeah, I think being able to be adaptable, to be confident enough in what you know, but also be teachable enough, and not full of yourself to be able to say, hey, I don't know how to do what you're asking me to do, or I don't know how you'd like me to do this.
Yeah.
And I've been in that position a ton. I mean, listen, I say I don't know all the time to the point of where people are like, what the fuck do you know? And I'm like, I don't know.
Are you a dum-dum?
Yes, I am president of the Momos. But I think on the flip side of not only how you carry or I carry, or like in a general, how does the person carry themselves? It also has a lot to do, in my experience, of the person I'm going to and asking, hey, how do you want me to do this? Or, hey, how do I do this? I get a lot of mixed responses depending on the company I've worked at or the companies I've worked at. Am I asking the foreman? Am I asking the owner? And like, not everyone has the same experience level. Not everyone has the same experience, like broad-wide. Like I have had the, fortunate, whatever, to be able to, I started out in residential. I, did residential, and then I started doing light commercial, and then light commercial led into commercial and service work, which led into doing industrial work. I've flown all over the country to do special projects on, talking like AV and like data and like video walls, explosion proof, nuclear power plant stuff. But I don't know everything.
No. And I think that's something I don't think you ever will know everything. Like electrical is such, for us, obviously we're both electricians, but electrical in particular is such a broad like subject. It's a broad thing to know. You will never know everything about it. You'll never know all of the ins and outs.
So we brought on a content producer. I don't know if we've mentioned that yet. Jamie_Rod7.
Hi, Jamie.
Jamie, what it is. And we were having an interesting conversation between the three of us last night, even though Andy wasn't participating.
I was washing dishes.
Okay, excuses. But like talking about like what he's been working on lately and like what he'd like to start doing more of, and looking at like what is the next wave of like lighting, for example, Cat 5, Cat 6 controlled switches and dimming capabilities. Like yesterday, I swapped out a motherboard for a Hubble lighting control system with a new one, and then had to like pick up the laptop, patch into the motherboard, swap out the hard drives, get on the phone with Hubble tech support. I wasn't really doing much of it. I was just like plugging and playing for them. Yeah. But like where the future is going, to the point of like, although I moved into this house in August, I haven't really taken what I had done in my old house to this house yet. But in my old house, all of my lighting was smart lighting, Alexa enabled. I could do it from my phone, cameras, lights, thermostats, you name it. So I think there's always something for everyone to be able to learn, whether you are an electrician or whether you're a homeowner.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'll tell you who doesn't carry themselves well. Most of the people who work at Home Depot in the electrical aisle.
I have to agree with you on that one. Not all of them, not all Home Depot employees, but
no, 99.9% of them.
Well, I will also say along that avenue of where the future is going is, as some of you or most of you maybe know, most of our 3 listeners, that I just started a new job in January, and I was almost done my apprenticeship with my old company. And it felt like a clean break. I was coming off of being laid off, and I now work for an automation company. So I build robots. I'm wiring up robots and learning production lines and that kind of stuff because I wanted to go. So
be nice to Andie because she is running the robots now.
Well, be nice to Andie anyways because she likes when people are nice to her. Be mean to Evan.
Back to robots.
Yes. So it felt like the right time to make that switch. As I was coming off of school, I was coming off of being laid off, and there was no hard feelings with my old company, at least on my end. And it felt like it was time, and I needed to go and I needed to start learning something in a different avenue. And it's been really eye-opening, just some of the differences. And again, I'm now thrust into a new opportunity, a new job field, and there's a lot of differences and a lot of similarities. But again, like I can't pretend that I know everything in this because it is so new. So.
Yeah, I love to learn new things, especially that are integral or will become integral to my trade. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you look at 15, 20 years ago, every light in a warehouse or in an office was fluorescent, you know? Yeah. I mean, you know, you had, you know, your ballasts and bulbs. And I mean, that in and of itself, swapping out ballasts and bulbs were some companies' bread and butter. That's all they did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, now
there's some big contracts doing that now for cities, right? Like,
well, yeah. But like, I think a lot of them now are converting them to LED. Which when I first found out about LED and how that worked, if you don't know, Google it. It's a really interesting and simple method. But I think always being able to learn, always being open to learn something new. Mm-hmm. And it's not just like electrical. It's, I think, in everything in every part of your life. For me, if I close myself off to not being able to learn, then that's like kind of the fulcrum point of where I start to just become an asshole.
Right.
You know? Yep. He who knows everything doesn't need to listen to anyone. And he who doesn't listen to anyone doesn't get along with many people.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't like that. People don't like that.
No. So with that, Andie, I think you need to give people just the tip.
Okay. So my just the tip for today is kind of going back to how Michelle was talking about how she kind of presents herself with that more masculine kind of, that's what she gives off. And myself, I am, I guess, more masculine than some people, but I wouldn't say, like, I would more classify myself as bubbly. So my just the tip for today would be to just be yourself, because nothing is worse than coming across as completely fake on a job site. People see right through that.
Yeah.
They see right through that. And there's nothing worse.
When you said just be yourself, I immediately, do you know that movie Just Friends?
Yes.
With Ryan Reynolds?
Yes.
There's a scene where he's in the garage trying to find his ice skates to show off his mad skating skills, and his mom's in the background just going, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. And it's like, God, Mom.
So if anybody needs any help being themselves, we can maybe put out a little thing of Evan just singing Be Yourself for you to just play on a loop all day.
On a loop. And eventually you will land up in a psych ward.
Yeah. Yeah. But then you're being yourself, so.
So when you're trying to fall asleep tonight, just close your eyes and hear me going, be yourself, be yourself.
Shut up, Mom.
Mom.
Sorry, Mom.
Well, that was quite the tip, Andie. I think it's very true. It is very true.
And maybe you just need some little nobody from Kitchener, Ontario to tell you that. I don't know.
Well, you're not nobody.
In the grand scheme.
Do you guys have social security numbers in Canada?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. Hey, Andie, where's the Southeast?
Okay, let's segue into your just the tip.
Ooh, my just the tip. So I'm going to give a little context to my tip here. I posted a video on Instagram. I think it was Monday. Mm-hmm. I got into the tickety talk, seeing as we were talking with Michelle, and she has a love-hate relationship with TikTok.
As do I. My phone keeps auto-correcting it to talk, and I sound really stupid when I'm talking about it. I'm on the talk. Yeah.
I'm not going to respond to that. But I just go on there and I watch videos. Yeah, I'm not handy capable enough to be able to do some of the things that these people are doing. And by the way, I think the pandemic is the reason TikTok is so big, because people got uber fucking time to just go deep into that.
Well, some of those people are so wildly creative. I can't believe it. Rough
They
Iron?
go.
His videos are hilarious.
Yeah, they are. You turned me on to him, and I was like, oh my fucking God.
They are so funny.
So I posted a video on Monday. I was on TikTok. I found this DIY tutorial video on changing an outlet. Ooh. And it broke my fucking brain.
I know. I remember watching it and seeing your face after. They're like, follow us along for the DIY. And you're like, no. And your hair was like, pew.
Yep. I kind of had I kind of just heard Tim Allen from Tool Time going,
Home Improvement.
So my tip is, it's going to be related to this. So I'm going to tie it all in together. So with that TikTok video that I did the don't do this review on, and I got mostly a good response. Some people were like, hey, man. I'm like, shut up.
Hey, that was me.
Shut up. Listen, top. But from that, and now with what's going on down in the southwest of the United States of America, with how many people are out of power and stuff, I don't know about in Canada, because you said that your power grid system is pretty set up for a lot of this.
My area is.
Your area.
I personally have never experienced any sort of power outages short of like the snow causing like branches to fall. That like in my memory.
Okay. So here in northern New Jersey, I live in the woods and have lived in wooded areas for the majority of my life.
And you guys typically do get like pretty much the same snow that we do, right?
Snow, yes. But how close are you to the ocean?
Not at all.
Okay, so I am an hour drive from the ocean. So what we get is not just the snow, but we get the tropical storms, the hurricanes, all of that. And because of how close we are to the ocean, we are usually the center of it, or we're like the outer band, which is the more thrashy part of the storm. So we've been
chaotic
losing. Yeah, we've been losing power from as far back as I can remember.
Wow.
So back to like Hurricane Sandy, which was like the last major storm.
Yeah, I remember that one, which is big because I don't pay attention to anything.
Yeah, you're like, where am I? Who am I? What is this?
I'm like,
we lost power at my house for 2 weeks.
Oh wow! Now, was this wintertime?
It was October.
Okay, so chilly enough, but
it was a cold October.
Okay.
Average temperature was 40, low 40s, high 30s. So 32 is 0 for you.
Did you see me trying to do that math?
Oh yes.
So like just above 0. So it wasn't quite freezing, but it was cold.
Just above 0 degrees Celsius, just above 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
Okay.
Which is your freezing point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 32 degrees Fahrenheit is our freezing point. So I was without power, but I was going around doing service calls for people, hooking up their generators to their homes. So this is where my tip comes in.
Yeah.
So tying in the TikTok, turning off the main breaker. The only time you should really be turning off a main breaker in your house, if you're not a qualified tradesperson, or I won't go that far, if you are not a qualified person who has experience or is comfortable and has some knowledge behind what you're doing, because you can turn a main
designation right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're not a Momo, you can turn your main breaker off, but be prepared that it might not turn back on depending on how old your breaker is. Okay. Right. 30 years roughly is the time where breakers start to wear down. But
right. And somebody posted on that right there that, I saw that.
And I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So here's the tip. If you are going to hook up a generator to your home to backfeed your panel, okay, pull your meter out of the socket on the side of your house. Okay. Very important to do, because I had a friend, actually 2 friends, who just cut an extension cord, plugged it into their generator. It was a 2-pole 40, tied it into a 2-pole breaker. And they're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. didn't turn the main breaker off, and didn't pull their oh my God, why am I brain farting? I just said it. Didn't pull their meter. And what happened was they had their generator going, backfeeding their panel. Ooh. And then the power from the street came back on from their power, their provider, and blew up their meter and their panel and caught their house on fire.
That's not what you want.
So this is a multi-tip. This is like just the tip, like a few times over. Mm-hmm. If you hook up a generator to your home, know what you're doing. If you don't know how to do it, DM me and I'll FaceTime walk you through it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Or just hire Evan to come out and do it.
I'm not traveling.
Nah. Live in New Jersey and hire Evan.
Live within a 15, 20-minute drive of me.
There you go.
Hire Evan. Yeah. So turn your main breaker off, pull your meter. Now you can say, yeah, I can just turn my main breaker off. I don't have to pull my meter. Well, you can't guarantee that the main breaker doesn't have any faults or any issues, okay? Because when you turn it off, if it's an old breaker, even though you turned it off, I've seen it where I go to turn the breaker off and the little foot moves, but the internal locks do not change. Okay? This happens a lot with stomach clench. This happens a lot with old Federal Pacific. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what it is? What is it called?
Federal Pioneers? What the fuck?
Oh, I think that's a brand name here that is like actually really, really hard to get now.
It's Federal Pacific.
Is it really?
Yes, Federal Pacific. Okay, it was a U.S. manufacturer of panels in the late 50s, 60s, 70s.
Oh, man.
They were making some of the first style breaker boxes, not fuses.
Okay.
Their breakers are really hard to find because they don't make them anymore because of how many faulty breakers that would happen. Like basically, you could short out an outlet and it wouldn't trip the breaker. Mm-hmm. So just a tip, don't do things that you aren't qualified or have experience or knowledge with because you can have a lot of issues.
Like to interject here that in Canada, it is Federal Pioneer that I was talking about. That is its own thing. Continue.
Well, Federal Pioneer.
I have sounded stupid enough at the beginning of this podcast, so I would just like to say that
just at the begining.
I dabble with knowing what I'm talking about sometimes.
Just the beginning.
Just the beginning. Yeah, the rest of it I've sounded incredibly intelligent and very well spoken. Thank you.
Okay, talk.
Thank you and good night. That's my phone. Thank you.
I'm thinking about doing more of these DIY tutorial reviews because I feel like there's some really, really, really juicy videos out there that are probably going to make me like.
This could be your niche.
I have a niece.
Niche.
Stay
away from your niece. Don't bring her into your talk videos.
Well, actually, my niece is in a video on the driver backs page.
Really? Oh,
yep,
yes.
Rocking
damn jolly jumper.
Yep, the damn jolly jumper. I wish they made them for like people my size.
That's what I commented on Michelle's thing. That I'm like, I jump in one of those, and everybody's like, Andrew, you're wrecking the trim.
Things you can do as a toddler that you can't do as a fully grown adult.
Poop your pants.
Walking around pantsless.
Yeah. You do. You're a self-proclaimed Speedo wearer.
Okay, walking around with no bottoms on, completely Porky Pigging it.
Just a shirt?
Porky, yep, just a top half. Just a top half, no bottoms.
Yeah, you're right.
You know? It's I don't know why.
What?
Well, I feel like that comes into play when you get older again, though.
Oh, true.
I feel like
so does wearing no pants.
Yeah. I feel like the correlation between like baby toddler and like senior citizen with a hint of like dementia or Alzheimer's are very close to each other.
Yeah, it's like that like parabola where it starts here and then you rise up and out and then it's like back down to the same point.
Yeah. Like, so talking about waiting tables, remember that movie Waiting? Again, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Waiting. You never saw it?
I don't know.
We're no longer friends. So there's a scene with an older guy. there's a scene with an older guy he's sitting at the table. Ryan Reynolds comes and sits down next to him or across from him because he's old. This old guy sitting at the restaurant by himself. And the guy's talking about how, well, you know, he's got a touch of dementia, but it's okay because, you know, he can walk around without his pants on, you know, take a walk around the block. He can flip kids off without feeling bad about it. But then the flip side is, you know, he walks around the block with no pants on and he flips young children off. I feel like at a certain age, I think it's like, you know, maybe six years old and then like 76. Like that's the
okay,
buffer
so
zone.
We've got like a 70-year window of wearing pants.
Fuck. I don't know if I can make it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lower that to 56. No, 30.
56 seems
30,
ambitious.
36.
You're like almost there.
I've got 4 more years, guys, and then we're going.
Wearing. Brace yourselves, everyone.
Yes. So just a tip, keep your pants on, don't flip off elderly people, and don't do work that you're not qualified and or instructed on doing.
Right.
That's not me being an asshole, by the way. That is me genuinely not wanting people to hurt themselves or cause harm or cause harm to other people. You know, not to knock any other trade, but like electricity is something that there's a reason we have to do so many hours to become certified or licensed. Same with plumbers who deal with gas. Yeah. We are dealing with a very volatile, not chemical. Well, yeah. Gas is a chemical, but dealing with things that could cause great harm, could cause great destruction, could cause death and dismemberment.
Yeah. When I was in my tech program, before I started my apprenticeship, I did a 2-year tech program at a local college. One of my teachers was telling us a story about some service work that he did, and they had split receptacles on a countertop. And this woman was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So he comes in and he zips the little tab and he goes and flips the breakers. And then he says, thank you. That'll be $150 here. This lady's losing her mind. She's like, I am not paying you $150 for that. You came in, you've been here for less than 2 minutes. I am not paying you for that. And he said, lady, you don't pay me for what I do. You pay me for what I know. And I was like, oh, mic drop right there.
Yeah.
Like,
well, also most service calls have a minimum, usually a 2-hour minimum.
Yeah.
That's,
so,
I mean, I've had service calls for people to, I've had service calls for people to come for me to go and change their light bulbs for them.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So I thought that was important because it's true. You pay for the knowledge and the experience. You don't necessarily pay for what needs to be done.
Right. Well, I mean, like, so back in October, we now own a home with 2 bathrooms.
Woo!
Twice the fun, twice the headache.
We have 1.5.
We have never used the tub in the upstairs bathroom. My wife wasn't feeling well. She was having some aches due to her medication she's on. So I was like, take a bath, you know, relax, put some oils and whatever in there, light some candles, bath bomb. She did it, went to get out of the bath, went to hit the little plug to let the water drain, and the water did not drain.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there's a quite a long video on my page from back in October of me having to take apart the whole drain out of the tub, snake the whole main. It was a fucking nightmare. Now, did I know how the parts and pieces worked? Sure, because I'm experienced in the electrical trade where we use, you know, compression connectors and threaded this and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But do I understand, like, the way, you know, plumbing pipe is ran?
Or sizing for it?
Sizing, all of that stuff? No, I don't. So, like you said, like your instructor had said, you're not paying me completely for the work to be done. You're paying me for what I know, and I know how to do this stuff.
And do it right. You
know, for example, like this room I'm in, right? This house was built in I think it was 1968. Okay. Fun fact, a lot of homes that were built in the 50s, 60s, and even the 70s, to cut costs, they didn't put lights overhead. They did switch receptacles. So, right?
Yeah. For everybody who's not sure, he's got lamps.
Oh, I've got 2 right here.
Lights going off.
People are like, people who are listening are going, I don't see anything.
But I hear a clicking noise.
People who are listening, go back 15 seconds and just blink a few times.
Whoa.
Yeah. But please don't be driving.
Or do, whatever. We're not the boss here.
Yeah, we're not the boss. So that's how these older homes were built. And a lot of people will say, I've gone on to service calls where they say, the outlets in my room or the outlet in my room does not work. And I walk in and I flip the switch. I plug my tester in there, power, I hit the switch, it's off. I go, here's a bill for $200. I'm going to leave now. Why can I charge X amount of dollars? Because I have the experience.
Yeah.
I've put in the years to learn and to, grow my knowledge base on troubleshooting and stuff like that. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Fuck you, pay me.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
And to an extent, like something like that, flipping a switch, I think I would have a hard time charging somebody $200 for that, but your girl's got to make a living, right? So.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with the trades, it's like, I don't know how to do taxes. I don't know how to diagnose myself medically. I don't know how to do stuff on my car, all like very, very minimal.
Yeah,
like
I can put gas
in New Jersey, we don't even have to because it's illegal to pump your own gas.
What? Really?
We have gas station attendants at every gas station.
That's wild. That's good to know because I 100% would get out of my car and just fucking start doing it.
Oh, I still do it in like early in the morning on my way to work when the guy's inside like buttering bagels.
You're like, it's cool, dude. Just stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's one of the beautiful things about the trades is you get to learn things that you can take and do your own thing, provided you have the proper credentials and licensing and, insurance to do that. Mm-hmm. I love
go the proper route.
Right. I love that now at 32 years old, I know enough about buildings and like structures that I could do all the renovations on my house based off of just conversations I've had with other trades, experience I've learned through doing it with like helping friends out and stuff who are in other trades. There's a certain level of getting back to the confidence. There's a certain level of confidence or just self-satisfaction knowing that I don't have to then pay somebody to do all this stuff.
Well, and for me too, like even being on those kind of sites, it comes down to networking too. So if there's, say I'm not comfortable doing my HVAC or installing a new AC unit, like there's plenty of people that like our paths have crossed that, oh, you need some electrical work done? Okay, well, I'll keep your number, whatever. When I do my AC next summer, like you're the guy I'm going to call. Like that.
I have a friend who's a tiling guy. And he's a good friend of mine we didn't even meet in the trades.
Yeah.
He bought a house about 30 minutes away. He's
gutting the house. Just outside your bubble though, right? Your 15-minute, but like, cause he's your friend.
He's one of my best friends. So I'll go an extra 10 minutes for him. Plus
that's kind of you.
His lady partner is also a good friend of mine. So I can't say no. Okay, but we're going to barter. We've already set up a bartering thing where I'm going to help him do some wiring. He's going to help me remodel my shower and tub area because it's like an insert that's like 10, 15 years old and it's yellow.
Time to go. I just did one of those up at my parents' cottage. I dabble with tile work too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I really like tiling. I find when I was doing it,
something else.
Well, I do. Like the sense of satisfaction of a completed tile job is awesome. But I will say that I actually posted questions asking for help on my stories on Instagram, like asking about like backer and like what kind of drywall or what I should be putting behind, like weatherproof, what I should be doing with that, and if I needed to seal all that, like do I need to tape it? Do I need to mud it behind your tile work? And I had some really, really great responses from tiling professionals that are just in my network on social media, and they help me a lot. Like Lotus Tile, who I still talk to, Trinity Tile, like those girls are awesome.
Yeah. Well, that whole thing I was talking about in October with the whole bathtub area issue, I reached out on Instagram and I ended up FaceTiming with Rob from Turbo Plumbing and Heating for like 15, 30 minutes, like once or twice actually. I think it was twice now. And like showed him what I was doing. Bah, 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 bah. My wife is in the other room going, I keep telling him, as you know, because you've been on video call with me. My wife's like, I keep telling him to just call a plumber. And I'm like, I'm not fucking calling a plumber.
I'm on a call with a plumber.
I'm like, I don't have $1,000 to drop on this. And she's like, it's not going to cost that much. And I literally handed the phone to her and I said, hey, Rob, tell my wife at the point where I had to cut a hole in the ceiling in the downstairs bathroom and open the vent pipe, open the stack pipe, disassemble things. I go, tell my wife where we would be at if you were the one doing this right now. He goes, minimum $1,500.
Yeah. But again, you pay for the experience, and it would probably take him a quarter of the time, but it also is going to cost that much more, right?
Exactly. So, now, I'm not going to go fuck with my gas line like that.
No, please don't.
I like with like water and stuff, you know, it's shitty, but you got to get it done.
That's right.
So with that, we're going to get wrapping up. But what I wanted to touch upon last is, so we talked about like connecting and networking through Instagram to other tradespeople, being able to, you know, use them as resources. So our next episode, okay, is going to be in 2 weeks.
Hint, hint, hint.
We're going to do a double, if you will. We're going to have 2 guests. They are both from Canada.
Yay!
They like me and Andy, they are in the same trade as each other, maybe as us, maybe not. I'm not going to go that far, okay? They met on Instagram. That's where their Instagram love connection. That's where their Instagram love story started and has been flourishing. And they both agreed to come on with us to discuss a bunch of different topics, ranging from, like we've been talking about, using Instagram as a resource and networking, to what it's like to own your own business, what it's like to balance business or work life and family life.
Yeah, so they've got kids, right? So one of them has a whole litter. Yeah,
and one of them has their first one on the way.
That's going to be very different for us because neither of us have kids. So
I have never pushed anything that big out of my pee hole before. No.
Nor will you. I'm willing to wager.
Hopefully not, because that would be like a world record kidney stone that would probably break my penis.
Yeah.
No. It'd be like a hot dog that exploded at the tip.
Ugh.
So with that image in your head, from me and Andy here at Delta Sparks, I think the last thing I'd like to say is be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Stay tuned, guys. New episode coming 2 weeks from this Sunday, the 21st. Pop, pop, pop.